Good evening. I hope everyone enjoyed their meal and had a great time connecting with fellow Rotarians. Tonight, we have the privilege of hearing from Rotarian, RI staff member, and changemaker, Brian King. He led us through an inspiring membership breakout this afternoon, and we are fortunate to have him as our keynote speaker. Brian's full bio is readily available on our North Central Pets website. However, there's more to the story, as I discovered from his August 2024 interview for Rotary Magazine. Brian was born in Nairobi, Kenya. And it was there, as a child, that he first became aware of Rotary. While he didn't understand what Rotary was, the Rotary wheel stood out as a symbol that he saw in schools, clinics, community projects, and he shared that he understood that the wheel stood for something good. While researching his international development agencies for his advanced degree, he was again exposed to Rotary. And our organization's focus on local and international partnerships inspired him to apply for a job. He started at Rotary International in 2001 and was an integral member of the Fund Development Program. He helped launch Every Rotarian Every Year, the funding initiative that encourages members to give to the annual fund every year. He became the Director of Membership Development in 2014. In his interview, he shared that one of the highlights of this position was bearing witness to the transformative 2016 Council on Legislation. So when they voted to grant clubs greater flexibility in meeting frequency, format, attendance, and types of membership. And again at the 2019 Council's decision to elevate Rotaract as a distinct and valued membership type. Well, Brian's work led to positive change within Rotary. His personal commitment to doing good is also inspiring. He coached youth soccer for 20 years and runs a soccer program for kids with special needs. He joined the Rotary Club of Evanston in 2014, and in 2015 he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro for the club's polio eradication fundraiser. It is my pleasure and honor to bring to the stage Brian King, fellow Rotarian, Director of Membership for Rotary International. Please give a warm welcome to Brian.
Carol, thank you so much. It was a lovely, lovely introduction. And quick update, I'm really excited to share with you that in a couple months, I'm going to be climbing Mount Kilimanjaro again with my son, hopefully to raise a little more money for polio. So stay tuned. Thank you. Please don't. Please don't stop. It's a real pleasure to be with you all this evening, and just congratulations to the entire organizing committee to put on this event. Let's hear it for the entire team. Now, did you know that the average American looks at their phone 144 times a day? 144 times. That's it? Yeah. Now, when you break that down, that's about once every 7 minutes that we're awake, okay? Some of you are maybe looking at your phone right now. Some of you might not be awake. But it's a pretty remarkable statistic, right? Now, if you think once every 7 minutes is startling, consider this. The attention span of the average person is just 7 seconds. Right, think about that for a moment. The average attention span of the average person is just 7 seconds. And that's actually 1 second shorter than the attention span of a goldfish. So I probably lost half of the room already at this point, right? No, but at an age when people are more connected and more distracted than ever before, how does Rotary remain relevant? Like, this is the question I really want to pose for us to contemplate this evening, and it's one I want you to consider as you prepare for your year ahead. Because the fact is I think we're at a critical turning point for Rotary. Truly a critical turning point. And what we're finding is, if you look at the past 20 years, what we see is that the market is not buying our product the same way that it used to. We simply don't have as many people of action, as many Rotarians in our clubs, in our communities, than we did 20 years ago. So it's something to be really, really mindful of, okay? It means we need to be willing to adapt. I think Tom Gump spoke a little bit about our action plan this morning, and the need to adapt is a critical component of that plan. Now, there's a recent study, an international study on volunteerism, and they found 4 really interesting trends. This study found that there is a rise in virtual volunteering, which isn't really all that surprising when you think about us coming out of COVID. But they also found an increase in workplace-based volunteering, skills-based volunteering, and then the fourth trend that I think is really interesting for Rotary, an increase in episodic volunteerism. People kind of want to come in and out according to their schedule, right? And have some flexibility there. And so I think that's really a powerful trend that we need to be mindful of for Rotary. And the fact is what the study is finding is that people want more control, more decision making power over the volunteer opportunities that they're going to pursue, and they want to have a greater impact, in the volunteer opportunities that they're a part of. So this is just something to be really mindful of for Rotary. For organizations like Rotary, we need to be really mindful of what's happening, and we need to be willing to take a look at our product, right, the club experience, through the eyes of our members and understand what they really need, what they want, and be willing to deliver that. The fact is, whether it's volunteerism or consumerism today, there's an entirely new element to the mix that we have to be mindful of, and that's convenience. Think about the world that we're all living in today. People don't want to wait a week and watch their favorite TV show, right? They'll DVR it and skip the commercials. Or better yet, we'll open up Netflix or any number of a dozen streaming platforms that are out there, and we'll binge watch an entire episode or even an entire season in a day, right? When I landed at the airport today, I didn't pick up my phone and call for a taxi. I used an app, and an Uber arrived immediately. We're living in this Amazon, Kindle, Spotify, Apple Pay, work from home, customizable work and life balance that every business out there is trying to anticipate our needs, understand our behaviors, and put products in front of us that we're willing to pay for, right? And I love this example of Hershey's and their Reese's Peanut Butter Cups minis. It's dessert, so I thought this was appropriate to share with you all. See, what they found was there's an array of situations where that original large format peanut butter cup was simply too big and too messy. Maybe you're driving in a car or standing in a crowded subway or playing a video game. Just didn't work. And meanwhile, there's these little, miniature, individually wrapped peanut butter cups. But they found that those are a hassle. I mean, who has 2 hands to open up their piece of candy, right? But Reese's Minis comes in this flat-bottomed, resealable bag that a consumer can easily just dip one hand into. And the results were astounding. $235 million in sales in just the first 2 years, and the birth of a breakthrough category extension, right? In the category, or the product category of candy and sweets. Really a remarkable story. And again, what the story means for Rotary and our Rotary clubs is that We need to have a real-world understanding of our members' lives. We need to understand what it is that's most important to them, meet them where they're at, and deliver an experience that they will value, that they're willing to pay for through their membership. So Rotary does a lot of research. I shared a little bit about this during our breakout earlier today. Does everyone receive Rotary's surveys and you respond to our surveys? I hope you do, or if you haven't in the past, look out for them. We really value your input, your feedback, and it really helps inform the organization and the direction we go. But the most recent surveys that we've conducted has really found that the most important element for a member satisfaction, and again, I'm saying this again, Gretchen, you said sometimes you need to repeat things a couple of times, right? I'm saying this again because it's really important. The single most important driver of a member satisfaction and their likelihood to stay is the club experience. That is the most important thing. And we talked about this afternoon, right? What are we talking about in the club experience? We're talking about things like enjoyable meetings, right? Varied, impactful service projects, the opportunity to connect with others and form meaningful friendships, to form personal and professional skills. And the most important factor was what? Does anyone remember? This is a quiz. It was club leadership. Club leadership is considered the most important factor of the club experience. So in other words, if the club experience matters most to our members, you as club presidents, as club leaders, matter most to the club experience. And what was that? Pressure's on. Yeah, no pressure, right? But no, embrace the challenge, and I know you do. But it starts with you. You set the tone. You have the opportunity to create that welcoming environment, right? You have the opportunity to make sure that your club members feel heard and valued, right? So how are you going to do that? How are you going to ensure your members feel that their voice is heard, that their opinions are being acted upon? How are you going to make sure that everyone walks through the door, whether it's for a meeting or a service project or a social event, again, feels welcomed like they belong? Right? You set that tone for your club. No pressure. No pressure. So for our time this evening, I just wanted to share a few ideas, just a few practical ideas that you might want to consider as you take back to your clubs, as you prepare for the year ahead, and how you might support membership growth. I like to think of these as like 6 spokes of membership. You know, there's 6 spokes in the Rotary wheel. Here are 6 spokes that you can think of to help grow your membership. These are not the only spokes. There's a lot of spokes that you can consider and you will contemplate and incorporate into your work to grow membership. But I just thought I'd share a few ideas. And the first one we've already talked about. It's prioritizing the club experience because it is truly the most important. But when we're talking about that, again, what you can do is make sure that your members feel valued. Survey them. However you choose to ask for feedback, it's so critical that you incorporate that into your business operations. Not once every few years. Make it a standard process if you haven't already. Whatever mechanism, whatever channel you choose to use to get feedback is up to you, but you need to prioritize the fact that you care what your members think. Right? You're going to listen to them, and you're going to share that feedback with your board, and you're going to act on it as best you can so that they know that they're heard. Even if you don't act on it, they at least know that their perspective was valued, was heard, and was considered. So this is really, really, really important. So again, there's a lot of resources that your district can provide to you to help you with this process. Rotary International can help you with this process. But you don't have to overcomplicate it. Just take the time to talk to your members. The second spoke I wanted to highlight is engaging former members. COVID was devastating. We lost a lot of valued members to Rotary. Some, sadly, unfortunately, joined the Rotary Club in the sky, but others left Rotary for other reasons. Financial, they lost a job, a family member was impacted, they moved. There's all sorts of reasons why we lost members. But it's been a few years now. Have you had an opportunity to go back to some of those members that you lost? Times have changed. Their circumstances have changed. Your club has probably changed. Maybe you're still providing a virtual meeting opportunity. And that would be a nice way for them to come back in. Even if they moved out of state, they'd love to get reconnected with their community where they once lived. Reach out to them and really see if they would like to connect with Rotary. You'd be surprised at how many people who are just asked, right, to re-engage would value that invitation. I can even speak for my own club. We have 3 members that moved out of state. We have one up here in north Minnesota, almost on the border with Canada. We have one in Pittsburgh, the home of President Stephanie Urchik, and another one in North Carolina, his job has taken them there. They are still active members of our Rotary Club. We originally assumed that they didn't want to leave. We were ready to terminate them. We just said, hey, when would you like for us to terminate your membership? And they looked at us a little bit hurt and shocked. Said, I don't want to leave this club. I love this club. I love the people in this club. I love the connection that this club brings me back to this community, even though I don't live here anymore. And they're still members. This many years later. They still pay their full dues, and they attend our meetings via Zoom every week. One of them just happened to drive down, again, from northern Minnesota to Chicago, and he timed it so that he can make our club's weekly meeting. I mean, this is how important it is to some people. Your club, Rotary, is so important to people, even people that are no longer active members. Really think about re-engaging with them and re-extending that opportunity to participate in Rotary. There's a lot of potential there. Where there's also a lot of potential is through youth, right? How many of your clubs have active participation with an Interact club in a local school? Awesome, a few. I'd love to see more. How many actively sponsor Rotary Youth Leadership Award participants? Or have had the opportunity to host an inbound youth exchange student? This is fantastic. I'd love to see this engagement. Our youth programs are one of the strongest programs that Rotary can offer. In fact, when we survey our members about the avenues of service, right? Club service, community service, international service, youth service, vocational service. Youth service is ranked as the highest valued of all the avenues of service to our members. The youth programs are incredibly powerful. They develop the next generation of leaders for this organization, and it's a great way to engage your members. It's a great way to get your members to connect with the youth in your community. And if you're thinking about it from a membership development perspective, these youth have parents and guardians, right? Engage with them as well. Give them an opportunity to learn about Rotary and the incredible experience that their children are getting. And you'd be surprised how many might benefit or appreciate the opportunity to engage with Rotary themselves. So really take advantage of reaching out to youth. It's a member engagement opportunity for your existing members, but it's also a prospective member cultivation opportunity that I hope you'll consider. How about fellowships? How many in here is an active member of one of Rotary's 80-plus fellowships? A few. Rotary has over 80 fellowships, communities, right? Global communities of members who organize around a special interest, as well as a whole series of action groups that really organize around specific causes to help our clubs organize really impactful, sustainable projects. This is a great source of engagement for your members. All of your members join your club, they love your community, they love Rotary, and they also have some passions outside of that, right? It could be yachting, it could be surfing, it could be wine appreciation. I think there's a few of those out here. It could be heavy metal music. Rotary has all of these affiliate groups of members from all over the world that come together around a shared interest, and then they also organize service activities, raise money for our foundation and other opportunities through these fellowships and action groups. Make sure your members are aware of them. Again, it's a great way to get engaged beyond the club experience. And don't forget our Rotary Foundation. We talk a lot about our Rotary Foundation and the power that it can have. Our Rotary Foundation is perhaps the greatest member engagement and member benefit opportunity that we have to offer, and consider positioning it as such. Okay, it's not just about giving the money. Certainly, we all have an opportunity, if not a responsibility, to support our foundation so that we can carry out this life-changing work. But it's the stories that those contributions and the grants that they fund really tell. Tell those stories with your fellow members. They'll be incredibly inspired. The foundation, fellowships, action groups are an incredible source of programs, right, for your clubs. These can be speakers, these can be virtual speakers, or members of any of these organizations within your community. Your district has incredible, talented, knowledgeable people that can come to your club talking about the Rotary Foundation. Take advantage of it. It's a huge member engagement spoke. And so are professional organizations in your community. How many are partnering in a formal way with other organizations? For service projects, for volunteers? I see a few. This is incredibly powerful, right? Again, it's not only a way for you to reach a broader group for partnership in a project, maybe financial or human resource through additional volunteers, but it's a way to tell your story to a broader audience, right? It's a way for a part of your community to better understand what you all do, what you stand for, and how they might be able to get involved. We're seeing some clubs organize corporate memberships. And I know some of you have a corporate membership program where you could engage with a corporate entity, a business in your community, and extend membership to maybe a few members of that company. And they kind of share or rotate the membership. Because maybe the owner is too busy, they can't make your weekly meetings. But they have some mid-level or rising stars in their company that they want to invest in. And you can sell Rotary to them. You can position Rotary as a professional development opportunity for their employees. Because not only do we value Rotary and the service component that we all gain, but we also gain so much professionally through public speaking and delegation and conflict resolution, managing volunteers that you're all doing week in and week out. These are skills that many businesses would love to invest in to develop their employees to bring back to their business, to their work. Consider Rotary as one of the greatest, most effective professional development programs in the world. And you can offer that to organizations in your community. But there's also professional institutions like associations, industry associations, whatever that might look like in your area. Consider working with them as well through a similar lens, right? These are people that might have a very specific skill set that you could leverage to develop your programs, right? Maybe to advance your reach in the community, both locally or globally. Really think about partnering with other organizations, again, not only to advance your service work, but also to advance your prospective member pool, because there's a lot of people in those organizations that would love to give back if they're given a very capable, a very compelling organization to do it through, and there's none more compelling than Rotary. And lastly, I just want to talk about embracing new club formats, because one of the most important ways to grow our organization is by introducing new expressions of Rotary into the marketplace. And that might seem scary for some. Some might feel like that's competition. If we bring in another Rotary club in our community, people are going to join that club instead of mine. I really urge you to not have that fear, but recognize that just the very nature of when and where you meet generally is excluding a subset of your community. They can't make your meeting on a Tuesday at lunch or whatever that meeting format looks like. There are other people that want to be a part of Rotary that don't have the opportunity to do so. So really recognize that there is room for all sorts of Rotary experiences in your community, and I really encourage you to embrace it that way and support them. There are people that really are passionate about one specific cause, and it might not be a cause that your club spends a lot of time on. Consider a cause-based club in your community to bring people together to address that. Wouldn't it be cool if every district here, all 4 districts here, had a cause-based club aligned with each of these 7 areas of focus of our Rotary Foundation? I look forward to seeing that day someday soon. But also know that it doesn't have to be a new independent club in your community. Think about even embracing a new club model for your own club. You can rebrand it around a specific cause, or changing the format and the way in which you meet. And you can also consider adding an additional club within your club, often called a satellite club or a companion club. Right? This is where you would actually have an additional group of people that meet at a different time, different place, but they're members of your club. They have their own leadership. They have their own projects that they might organize, but they're directly connected to your club and your history. They're members of your club. They just happen to meet at a different day and time and have their own leadership structure within. but then when you can come together for social events or larger service projects that you might collaborate on together. So again, don't see it as competition. There's a lot of different ways to grow Rotary in your communities and grow your club at the same time. And these satellite companion clubs are a really powerful tool to do that. I suspect you've heard a little bit about this, perhaps this morning. I hope you'll read more, learn more about it, because it's really, I think, one of our strongest opportunities to grow our clubs throughout the Midwest, throughout the United States, throughout Canada, and throughout the world. So keep an eye on that. I know I have a lot of time with you all today. I'm not going to take it all, because I know we all want to enjoy some fellowship as well. But I do want to share kind of one final story with you before I wrap things up. And it takes us back to my time growing up in Kenya. And while I was there, we had a family friend. And our friend, his name was Peter Davies. And Peter was in Kenya at the same time I was growing up, but he was there on a research fellowship with Northwestern University. And one day Peter decided he was going to go out for a hike in the outskirts of this small town called Magadi. And so Peter went out for this hike out into the bush. And while he was hiking, he encountered this young, like, baby elephant. And the elephant was clearly in distress. It had like one of its front feet kind of lifted in the air, and it just seemed really, really uncomfortable. So Peter kind of cautiously approached this little baby elephant just to see what was going on, and he got down on one knee just to kind of inspect the bottom of this baby elephant's foot. And he noticed there was this large shard of wood, like deeply embedded inside, under the underside of the elephant's foot. And so as carefully as he could, he got out his pocket knife, right? And he kind of whittled this wood out from the underside of the elephant's foot and allowed the elephant to kind of gingerly put it back to the ground. So Peter kind of then backed up and stood up, and the baby elephant just kind of stood there, stared at him, just with a little bit of curiosity, and did this for several tense moments. And Peter, all he could think of was being trampled, right, by this creature. But after a while, the elephant just kind of turned its head, trumpeted loudly, then turned around and walked away. Right, you can imagine Peter has never forgotten the moment that he encountered there. Now, if you fast forward 20 years later, now Peter was at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, and this was when he was there with his son, his teenage son, Cameron. And they were walking through the zoo, and they came up to the elephant enclosure. And this was years ago. The Lincoln Park Zoo, if you're familiar with it, it doesn't even have an elephant enclosure anymore. But back when it did, Peter and Cameron came up to the enclosure, kind of walked up to the edge, and were looking at these beautiful elephants. And one of the elephants kind of started to walk up towards Peter and Cameron. And he started locking eyes with Peter. And then the elephant started to lift up his foot, and he put it back down. He trumpeted, lifted his foot, put it back down, all the while staring right at Peter. And Peter's just kind of dumbstruck. He's like, this can't possibly be that same elephant. But the elephant continued to engage with him, just locked in on Peter and doing this repeatedly. Peter's like, I can't believe this. So he actually summoned up his courage, and he climbed over the railing, came down in the enclosure, and he came up to the elephant just to kind of re-engage with him. And after a while, Peter's looking up to this massive elephant at this point. The elephant's looking down at him, and the elephant, his trunk, he takes his trunk and he kind of wraps it around Peter's waist. And he lifts him up and he slams him into the railing. He nearly killed him. Probably wasn't the same elephant. Right. Probably wasn't. So, what's my point? Well, besides the obvious perils of confronting wild animals, right? Now, my point is to take your leadership of your club seriously, but not too seriously. Have some fun, right? Come on, have some fun. But if there's an elephant in the room, if there is an issue in your club that needs to be addressed, be willing to confront it. right? Be willing to take some risks, but be thoughtful. Be really thoughtful and intentional about what you might do differently. And whatever you do, please do not let those romantic memories and traditions of the past cloud your judgment on how to move your club forward. This is such an exciting time to be a part of Rotary. I am so excited for what you're going to accomplish in this coming year. Thank you for all you're doing, and best of luck to you. Thanks so much.